Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Thomas Spark and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be reviewing HolaVPN. This is a popular free VPN service and paid VPN service as well that's been around for quite some time and had some controversies here and there. We're going to be checking out to see if you should use it, whether the free or the paid model, compared to some of the best VPNs out there. Now guys, I always recommend every person out there to use an S-tier VPN here on the tier list. You can check that out on vpntierlist.com. The S-tier VPNs represent the best that VPNs have to offer in combination of things like pricing, security, features, stream compatibility, and everything like that. So without further ado, let's get into the HolaVPN review. So first up guys is pricing, and HolaVPN is kind of weird in this sense. They have like a free plan, which is like a peer-to-peer network where you're kind of like sharing resources to gain access as like to give yourself like a proxy. It's kind of a weird idea of using that kind of residential proxy network. It's kind of like, what is the point in the end if you're just kind of sharing data and kind of compromising your privacy and security? It's kind of a weird idea. I guess if you really want to get a proxy for free or unblock stuff. But when you actually look into like some of the paid stuff from Hola, things get really bad. If you look at it here, if you want to unblock like geo-restricted services, and you can see here, even just to get Smart DNS, it's insanely expensive. It costs $30 a month, $240 for 1 year, and $290 for 3 years. This might be the most expensive service I've ever seen on the channel to date. It's called like HolaVPN Ultra. But then it's also weird because if you look at like the premium plan, it's also extremely expensive as well. It still says here that you have like HD video streaming and you couldn't block any website, but it does seem different from the main kind of ultra package. It's $15 a month. Right away, one of the most expensive VPNs out there, $93 a year and $108 roughly for 3 years. So definitely expensive. They're definitely relying on most people to see how expensive this is and just use the free plan. So basically the fundamentals of understanding HolaVPN in terms of how it makes money is a bit complicated. I think from my understanding of it is that they have this service, they're collecting users like bandwidth that are using HolaVPN's free edition, and then they let you sell this bandwidth and IPs and stuff like that. As you can see here, it says like any PTP network, HolaVPN is at a value exchange network. You get the service for free in exchange for providing a minimum amount of network and processing power. Basically what you're doing is exchanging your IP for someone else's IP. You can also find what businesses use HolaVPN's kind of network or data for, which includes brand monitoring, anti-ad fraud, ad cloaking, self-testing, price comparisons, and stuff like that, as well as more use cases here. So basically it is owned by Bright Data, formerly Illuminati Networks, and yeah, not really the privacy kind of niche that most people are looking for when I think they are discovering or looking at VPNs. Definitely a little bit different of a business model. Now, if we're looking at Hola from a purely technical perspective, how good is the application? What kind of features does it have? Well, unfortunately, it's mostly missing most features. It doesn't have stuff like WireGuard, split tunneling, obfuscation, ad blocking, sock side proxy. I don't think it even has. It's pretty much missing like most every single fundamental thing you're going to be looking for a VPN. At the end of the day, this is an extremely simple thing that you're pretty much just connecting to their little peer-to-peer network, or in fact, you know, depending on the model that you pick, kind of network that you're using, and the application is as simple as it can get. Fortunately, it does have dark mode, which is nice, but otherwise it doesn't really fulfill any of the things that we're looking for from what I would consider to be standard in terms of VPN applications nowadays. We are connected to a smart service location with HolaVPN, and let's see what kind of speeds we can get. Ideally, with a WireGuard supported VPN, we could get anywhere between 700 to 800 megabytes per second, and then let's see what we can get here. It's not even really clear what protocol we're using. I think it's probably just OpenVPN. It didn't seem to support WireGuard, and these are the speeds we're getting. Unfortunately, those speeds aren't really holding a candle to most other paid VPN services out there. The fact that I paid $15 for this service and we're getting those speeds is extremely disappointing, which leads me to believe the value proposition for the paid and other services is not really there. It's just like a way for them to say, show customers, you know, if they do want to pay, they're like, whoa, I'm not going to pay, I'm just going to stick with the free version. And I think that's kind of the business model here. I doubt anybody hardly is paying for this service because it's just so expensive for what you're getting. Now we're going to try to torrent with HolaVPN, and I'm not even really sure it's going to work, but we'll have to see how it performs here There could be some kind of blocking going on with this service. Doesn't seem to be working. I kind of like didn't think it'd be working, and it's not working, so that's not a good sign. So unfortunately, it does look like HolaVPN blocks all BitTorrent traffic. That would have been nice to know before I paid $15. Next up, we can look at the privacy audit and see how HolaVPN performs there. Unfortunately, very badly. It actually does have two-factor authentication, but pretty much everywhere else it doesn't do well at all. If you look here on the blacklight test, you could see that the website itself is tracking you like crazy. For a company that claims to care about privacy and security and stuff like that of its users, you can see that they clearly don't really do that, at least in terms of their website. It tells Facebook you visit it uses Google Analytics, it captures keystrokes, it could be monitoring your keystrokes and mouse clicks, it has cookies and tons of ad trackers to boot. If you look at the Android application, you do have Facebook login identification as well as Google Firebase Analytics and 17 permissions, which is a lot. So that's not good to see. And if we look at some of the other things we're looking for, you know, stuff like no logs collected, I'm not even really going to consider that because this is purely a VPN that is kind of collecting bandwidth and data and stuff like that. And in terms of complementary privacy services, well, not really. It's just kind of like a residential proxy network. If anything, it is restrictive compared to what you can use to a normal VPN, not even allowing BitTorrent traffic. And in terms of mismanaged data leaks and data scares, you could just look it up on Google. There's all sorts of things going on with HolaVPN that people don't really trust it that much in the VPN industry itself. As far as I know, though, the same company still owns it, Illuminati Networks, so at least there's that. Probably one of the most concerning things lately is the fact that Hola got removed from Google's Chrome extension store, which is definitely not a good sign. Now, Hola has made posts about it on their websites and stuff like that, confirming that there is no malware or anything concerning. However, it's kind of problematic because why would Google just remove this when so many extensions for so long have been roaming around? And it seems like when something does get removed, they're usually pretty good about it, coupled with its kind of behavior of reselling bandwidth and all these kind of little things makes a lot of people nervous, and for good reasons. You could find people kind of confused what happened, and people saying not to use free VPN, and people just generally don't like Hola. And yeah, there's even a little note on the website where they're trying to get it back on the store. So yeah, definitely concerning. Surprisingly, HolaVPN does seem to be working with Netflix, the US version of Netflix, so at least there's that, and it seems to be working pretty good. I'd even pay for the Ultra Edition, so not really sure why it's working. Okay. We can also see that it works with Hulu too, so that's good at least. And it also does seem to be working with Prime Video. I also tested out some of the other options, and it does seem to work with those as well. So whatever Hola is doing with IPs rotating around and stuff like that does seem to be working, probably using user IPs around the world to trick these services, which is a very effective, although not very privacy-friendly method to do it. So yeah, pretty cool. Honestly, my favorite thing about Hola is that the refund was automatically processed. I just had to enter in the last 4 digits of my credit card, the order number, and my name, and it was automatically processed. This is insanely cool. However, like I said, I think one reason this could be the case is that not many people are buying this model and they don't really want to waste customer support on these issues. So kind of interesting. So guys, thanks for making it to the end of this HolaVPN review. How does it do in the end? Well, let's go through piece by piece just to summarize everything. Overall, in terms of pricing, HolaVPN is primarily a free VPN service that pretty much works as a botnet or P2P network in which it sells your IPs and bandwidths in order to give you free VPN service that is primarily used for unblocking geo-restricted services. And in that extent, it is successful, I think. It mostly unblocked all the streaming services without any problems, offering decent speeds. However, that said, from a privacy standpoint, it is by no means a good product because it has an extremely bare bones application on both mobile and PC clients, offering barely any features that we see in other VPNs. The paid models that offer more privacy and security, or at least less reselling of your data in terms of, you know, using your IP and everything like that around the world, as well as your bandwidth, are simply too expensive to ever recommend. Even some of the advanced 4K things, it's just ridiculous how expensive these models can get, and I doubt anyone actually pays for them. Additionally, looking at some of the things in the privacy backend, a lot of vulnerabilities in the past, it being removed from the Chrome store, it's hard to recommend it as a product, even for what it's designed to do to be good for you as someone who is concerned about privacy. Speeds also weren't too good when we actually tested them. It didn't work with BitTorrent, and customer support is pretty slow as well. I still haven't received a ticket response time, although I did like the automatic refund that we were given for our expensive price point of around $15 a month for the VPN package. Overall, it's a 22.23. Could have been a lot lower if it didn't work with streaming. That did kind of help it up, but definitely not that good of a VPN. In fact, if we look at it on the tier list, it's actually right behind IPVanish. Definitely in C tier. Could have been in D tier almost. The lowest rated VPN so far we've rated on the channel, primarily because we're looking at it from the privacy and VPN point of view. If you're someone who's looking for a free VPN service to unblock streaming services and you care nothing about being part of a P2P botnet that could be reselling or managing your bandwidth or something like that, then maybe it could be a good product for you, although I wouldn't recommend it. Anyways, guys, thanks for checking out this one. Make sure to check out S tier VPNs for the best products that I recommend, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.